Hello, today is August 8th, and I am Beth Stace, and I'm coming to you from Kansas. And last week I did a Zoom and it was not recorded. So we are going to go over some of the questions that were mentioned last week on manifestation and how to manifest what you desire quickly and easily. There we go. The common question, does manifestation really work? I think that's where your belief in yourself and in the higher source comes into play. I call my higher source God. Some people are comfortable with just the higher source. It all has to do with our thinking and our feeling. So what it works here is many people struggle with this because of their beliefs, and that no longer serve them. I'm trying to read this off of the script from last week, but it's not working. So I'm going to just go with the flow. But why? That's the main reason, is our belief in God and our belief in ourselves, which is one and the same. So once you have that belief that you are connected with God, which we all are a creation of God, and we have that connection through our mind. And we'll get into that a little bit deeper if you're in on the course. Scott explains this very well, much better than I can. So that's why I recommend his course. By signing up with his affiliate program that he's offering right now, you have access to the first 4 modules. And I will read you a little bit from module 2I and 2J. And it gets into 2I is labeled ease and flow. And I'll just read you here on the what he has printed in the module. I won't, go into detail, but to just kind of give you an explanation of how detailed these are. It says, just as in module 2H, what you do accept and believe to be true of yourself and your world in these areas below. Again, how do you know? Look at the patterns of results in your life and business if you have one. It's not what we believe at a thinking level that counts as much as it's what we believe at a feeling level. By looking at the patterns of results in your life, you can identify what you, at the feeling level, the unconscious level, accept and believe to be true. So it says, select one area to improve on in the next 7 days. So each week we are going through little segments of how to improve your manifestation. And Scott talks a lot about feeling. You might have made up your mind that you believe this is true, but the feeling is not there yet. So that's goes along with practice and letting go and realizing that you are not ultimately in control. The higher power is in control. And if you work in flow and with ease with that, it manifests. This sometimes is immediate, like I posted on the page, where the next day I had a puppy sell, which I knew she was going to sell. I knew and had that in my mind that this is a perfect fit for someone, and that someone came forth. And I'm all about fitting the right puppy in the right home. So that's what I manifest on. I have one little puppy that she's actually in the house right now. And 30 minutes ago, she was in the house barking, yakking. And we've worked a little bit, and I had it in my mind, she's going to settle. She's going to settle. She's quiet now. Believe me, you would hear her if she wasn't. So it's all in our thinking and how much we believe in the process and how much we feel about it. I feel she's going to find the perfect home. Is that perfect home with just anybody? No, it is with the right person. So, and it's a lot to do with your business, whether you are a dog breeder, whether you are a trainer, whether you are working with shelters. It's all in the belief that that right person will come along, and or that if you're training a dog, you're seeing the improvements in the dog before they even are there. It's very important in our feelings. We all know that our dogs react from our feelings and our emotions. So animals do that. They pick up on those things quicker than we do at times. So they're good judgments of our character. If the animal is not responding to us, let's look inside. How are we feeling about the situation? Maybe we should just stop, let it go, and pick it up in another half hour. So the other common question was, how do I handle distracting thoughts during manifestation practice? Okay, we talked about this, I think, a few months ago, and Scott had mentioned it here about a week ago also, when someone brought that question up in the group. And it's normal. And that is very normal. And don't just discard those things that you're thinking about. If you have a pen and paper, jot them down. Say like, I'll be in one of my exercises, and I'll have all the things that I have to do come up in my mind. It's like, okay, I understand that. It's on my to-do list. I will get that done. Let me get back to my manifestation practice. So it is normal. It improves with practice. You won't master the 5-step process from day one. Believe me, you won't. It took me, how would I explain this? I wasn't introduced to the manifestation accelerator until I had some coaching. So I had to prepare myself before going in there, and that helped me. Now, not everyone is in that situation, but that is why I offer the personal coaching, where, if you need some help getting to that point where you're ready to dive in and make the best use of this prosperity magnet course, let me help you. There are ways to get into that position. How can I manifest changes in another person? Well, we can't control the other people. I've tried that for many years, and having kids, we do it all the time. We think we're going to control our kids, and we cannot. All we can do is feel and think about how we want, not necessarily how we want them to live their lives, but how we feel about them. And there again, it comes back to unconditional love. If you're dealing with a difficult spouse, or if you're dealing with an unruly child, or if you're dealing with, somebody that is frustrated with your business, all we can do is bring good thoughts about that person. And I call it prayer. And a lot of people are confused about prayer, and they think prayer is just telling God of all your complaining. They think prayer is complaining to God and thinking that God's going to fix it. Well, the complaining is our awareness that, okay, why does this bother me? And why do I let it bother me? And that goes into the healing part of the prosperity magnet group, which everyone needs. We talk about trauma. Trauma could be as minimal as your mom and dad telling you, no, you can't have that. We don't have enough money for that. That was stuck with you at a young age, where you developed an attitude with money that is lack. You have a lack of money. So going back and healing from that trauma We consider that a trauma. It's not a trauma like you were abused or anything. It's just something that stuck with you in childhood. And Scott goes into very, very detailed instructions how to get rid of that trauma and start thinking from where you're at today and where you want to be in your thoughts. Nobody's perfect. You're not going to be 100% in flow 100% of the time. So it does take practice. So getting back to that question, can I manifest changes in another person? Of course you can, but it's not in your control. It's in God's control. You can manifest good and nurturing thoughts toward that person. When I am connecting with someone on Facebook, and this is something that I was taught in the group too, I send my blessings to them. I bless this person and the good in their life. And you can do that to people that are maybe rude to you. And you might be surprised that it does get to them in little ways. We're not aware of it, and that's not our control. So if it's somebody close to you, you will see improvements in your relationship. Believe me, you will. I have been through that, and I still work on that. And it's a constant work on self every day, all day. So, okay, another common question. What's the relationship between taking action and belief in manifestation? I will tell you that both are necessary. I was in a mindset a couple years ago that, okay, I'm just going to think positive thoughts. And I was working on, feeling those positive thoughts, and things will just happen. And then I started to realize the things were popping up in my mind. It was my intuition on how to handle situations, on what to maybe implement in marketing. And that was where I realized, okay, and I did take a couple actions that were fruitless. So I think you have to be aware that some of these actions that you're taking are a learning process. So you might feel like, well, I don't want to take any action in that because it didn't prove to be fruitful. Well, you have to evaluate it in your new light, is what I would say it, in your new awareness, and say, okay, well, what could I have done differently to make that action be more valuable to me and to others? And that's where we get into the gratitude. It's not always about the focus on me. And I take this to personal experience here, like with placing puppies. It's not always the value for me having the income coming in, but it's the value that I'm giving to people, providing them with this puppy. And that's where I really feel like the 5-step process helps me tremendously, because I can actually picture people coming and taking their puppy home with them. And it's such a wonderful experience. I don't know if anybody here has experienced that, if I have a lot of breeders on here or not, but it's the same with training. It's a wonderful feeling when you've worked with this puppy and then your clients come back with a video. I'm so amazed at what this puppy is doing. I thank you very much. Well, visualize that in your 5-step process. I talk a lot about 5-step process, and that is a technique that Scott Haug has implemented in his training. It's just one way to manifest. So we do that pretty regularly. I do it every day, sometimes multiple times a day. And when I first started, I had a big hang up on dreaming. I just stopped dreaming. I stopped thinking about the things I desired and just was how I call it a life cycle, or just a crazy cycle sometimes, where you're doing the same thing day after day, day after day, and you just have a routine and you get it done, and you're done with your day. And I was in that position where I couldn't see anything changing in my dreams, and everything I thought that I wanted, I could pinpoint all the negative about it. Crazy. I know it was, but I think a lot of people are in that situation that I was in a few years back also, that you can get yourself out of that cycle. And it's a tremendous feeling of, it's almost like a big weight is lifted off your shoulder, because you don't do it all yourself. You give it over to the higher power, or God in my case. So, getting back to that question, um, taking action and belief in manifestation, I think one of our actions is to dream. And one of our actions is also to let go. Say, for instance, I have a dream to uh, go to Germany, and I never really thought about this before, but that's where our great grandparents were from. And when we were going through some history information a couple months ago, when one of my grandsons was doing a history tree, we discovered that my family and my husband's family, our ancestors, lived in the same dwelling, the same town. Well, not only the same town, but the same dwelling. It was very common for them to live a couple families together in a house. And it's interesting. I'll have to post a picture of it, because I have a picture of this, and I knew this years ago, but I didn't connect the connection of both my side of the family and my husband's side of the family are in this house together. They're a two dwelling house, and it was very common back then for them to have a two-story house, which they would divide the top level into two living quarters, and the bottom was for their livestock. So they had like the cattle and sheep and their livestock in the lower level, with the dirt floor, and then the top level is where they were living. So, and that's one of my manifestations for the future. And I see it in my mind, picturing going to this area. And I know the house is not going to be there anymore, but it's just being in that area where they had stepped foot on this ground. So, things like that, it gets you into belief and manifestation and taking action. If I would not had taken action on helping my grandson find this information, reading up on it, and realizing that both of our families dwelled in the same home, I wouldn't have this dream to go over there and just be a part of that grounding. So the action is important. The action is very important in your business too. You can't just let your business go and say, okay, I believe in manifestation, everything's going to work out for me, and let it at that. You do have to take action. So, and then also some of those actions are things we don't even think about as being action. It's just our awareness. Yes, I am taking action. I did do that. So The other question is how do I deal with the impatience of manifesting? A lot of us are in a hurry. It's a hurried up world. We want everything yesterday. So I think that is a very good question, because we often do get frustrated because we think, oh, I manifest this for years and I'm not seeing any results on it. How do you deal with the impatience? Focus on the feeling of already having what you desired. And I know that's hard. And one of the exercises that one of the coaches in the group had explained um, made a lot of sense to me when she explained it. She says, go list down some of the things that you would like to see happen, and some of the picture in your mind where you like to be, what you'd like to be doing, and how you'd like to be feeling, and post that in an AI program, AI like Chat GPT. Chat GPT, can you please give me a story about me living in a location that you desire, with time and freedom to spend with my family, or whatever your manifestation is, and just be as more elaborate as you can with this chat version of AI, and you'll be surprised at what it comes back with. I did this the other day, and I haven't been real good about reading it to myself. Not sure if I have it here. Oh, I might just read it to you, because it was very refreshing when it come back with this. This is Beth's new reality. The air in Alaska was crisp and clean, with the scent of pine and glacier-kissed wind dancing around her. Beth stood at the edge of a quiet lake, watching the reflection of snow-capped peaks ripple with the breeze. She wrapped her arms around herself, not from the cold, but from sheer gratitude. This was her life now. Just 5 years ago, she was dreaming of this exact moment: financial freedom, a thriving business, and the ability to live life on her terms. Today, she is a respected manifestation coach, earning $150,000 a year, doing work that lit her soul on fire. Clients came to her for clarity, courage, and transformation. They trusted her because she walked the path herself, through doubt, innovation, re-innovation, and finally belief. Beth had developed her own signature method, rooted in clarity, energy alignment, and inspired action. Her sessions weren't just motivational, they were activating. Her clients often said, "You don't just teach manifestation, you live it." And she did. Her business ran smoothly with digital tools, evergreen offers, and soulful one-on-one coaching packages that sold out months in advance. She had structure, yes, but also space. Time was now abundant. She could choose when to work and when to rest, and most importantly, when to play. Speaking of which, today was all about play. She and her husband had just finished an epic wildlife cruise, spotting humpback whales, and tonight they relaxed under the northern lights, sipping hot cocoa and dreaming of their next adventure. As they walked hand in hand to the cozy cabin, her husband nudged her playfully. "So, still up for Germany in the fall?" Beth grinned. "Absolutely. I want to visit the countryside, see the old villages, the castles, maybe even do a little writing while I'm there." He smiled. We can make it a whole storybook trip." And just like that, her heart swelled again, because her life was a storybook, but not one built on fantasy. No, this was a story she wrote with bold choices, unwavering faith, sorry, and alignment to her truest self. She had manifested not just money, but meaning, not just freedom, but fulfillment. She had created a life where she could give deeply to others and also be deeply present with the ones she loved. This was her new reality, and she knew this was just the beginning. So if you go and do that on the chat GPT version, um, read what it sends back to you. And if you get little goosebumps and chills and real excited when you're reading that, you know you've hit the nail right on the head. Yeah, that's where I think dealing with the impatience when manifesting, focusing on the feeling of already having what you desire, create your future memories of what you'll do when your manifestation arrives. When doubt arises, lean into gratitude for what you already have and the connection with God. I can't stress that enough. You've got to have the connection with the higher power, the source, God. You've got to have that connection. And we'll get into more of how to connect with source as we move forward with the school program. Trust that everything will work out without needing to know exactly how. And you know what? Things start happening. Things will start happening in this reality that you've created. It might not match perfectly with what you wrote, but what you'll find out is that each day you rewrite it or you reread it, you're going to add different things to it. And those different things are also possibilities that can happen. Have your mind open to the belief and the possibility of the miraculous happening. And it does. It truly does. And I won't say it's easy, and I won't say that it's unfrustrated at times, because you will get in a position where you aren't seeing things happening, and that's what we're talking about is the impatience. Let it go. Acknowledge those feelings, and being aware of them is key, but give it over to God. Give it over to God and start being aware of the little things that are happening. This could be as simple as a phone call coming into you, or someone thanking you for something that you did, or spending time with someone that uh, you love and you haven't seen for a while, maybe, and reach out and take action. If there is somebody in your life that you haven't connected with recently, I've got somebody that just popped into my mind. That's the first thing I'm going to do when I get off this Zoom is I'm going to text her. Take initiative to act on that intuition, act on things that are coming into your mind, and be aware that maybe we reject some of those things because of our past, but be open to a new opportunity. Be open to a change in that opportunity. Maybe it's not going to work out the way it did in the past. And how can I avoid that situation that I've had in the past? How can I make it better? How can I evolve into that higher being of knowing that everything is going to work out for me? I'll leave you with that. And we will get into more about how to connect with God, the higher power, and the source. In the meantime, type that into Chat GPT and see what it comes up with for you. How can I, on a personal level, connect more with God, and maybe get a little bit more explicit on what you have been dealing with now. Say, like, I'm going through a painful situation right now, and I need ways that I can connect with God, or I'm going through a big event coming up in my life. How can I connect with God? No, and you don't have to take everything that Chat GPT gives you, but read it through and grab the points that you like. I mean, that's the whole idea with AI. It's like it's just giving you everything, and everything doesn't always apply to everyone. So we will see you next week, and hopefully this is recorded and I can upload it in the school program, which I am going to invite everyone to.